You guys, the game between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid have just ended with Barcelona staging a 4-2 remontada, and we need to talk about some of the talking points from this game. But first, Real Madrid also staged a remontada of their own yesterday against Villarreal, and we also need to talk about that. Let's get into it. If you haven't seen my face and you don't know who I am, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Just Max, and on this channel I have been covering football from La Liga to the Prem to the UCL. So if this is something that you're very much interested in, please stick around, be my friend, be my homie. Let's make this a thing. I'm trying to grow this channel, so I would very much appreciate your help. Thank you. Now let's get into the game from yesterday. I am so sorry I was not able to come on here yesterday to talk about the Real Madrid versus Villarreal game because I was engaged elsewhere. However, I did talk about it briefly on my TikTok. So if you're not following my TikTok, you are quite literally missing out on a lot of content that don't necessarily make it on here to YouTube. So please click the link in my bio on here and follow me on TikTok. Madrid visited Villarreal yesterday in La Liga after coming off a controversial win against Atlético Madrid in the midweek in the UCL, which still has everybody talking about because we haven't seen something like that on such a big stage. But anywho, this was another day to turn the page and to focus on the most important thing, which is the La Liga title that is currently on the line. Going into this match, Real Madrid have struggled for points in La Liga, especially when they traveled away from home. So this was another challenge for them. Villarreal are a very good team. They are quite literally one of those teams that are always going to be in contention for European positions in the league. So I did not expect it to be easy, although I did expect Real Madrid to come out with the win because of the firepower that Real Madrid quite literally possess. When the game started though, Villarreal were the better team, and within 5 minutes they had scored a goal. I remember just looking away for a minute and being very much surprised to see that Villarreal had gone ahead. I could tell that Real Madrid players were very tired from the 120 minutes that they put into UCL game in midweek against Atletico Madrid. However, the game was very important. They could not afford to lose points to Barcelona. Barcelona did have a game in hand at that point, and even with the game in hand, we are still managing to top the league. So it was quite important that Real Madrid get a result for this game, and then they will get what they needed, because at the end of the day they have superstars. These are a team that is quite made up of Galacticos, and 2 quick goals from Kylian Mbappé was enough to settle the deal for Real Madrid. Let me tell you, those goals were carbon copy of the same. Real Madrid on a fast break that collapsed the Villarreal defense, and Kylian Mbappé finds himself in a very opportune position just inside the box to slot the ball, whistle it past the goalkeeper, and I think that the goals came in 2 minutes of each other. And for the remainder of the game, I cannot even lie to you, Villarreal were the better team. They attacked Real Madrid, they pressed Real Madrid back, they forced Thibaut Courtois into making some saves for Real Madrid, which kept them in the match. But ultimately, I have to give credit where credit is due and say that this was quite literally one of, if not the best defensive performance of the season from Real Madrid. The reason being, they were defending as a unit. Everybody was tracking back, everybody was working for everybody, and this was the first time that I actually saw Real Madrid, in my opinion, play as a team, not as individuals. And it made sense that they were able to hold on for the win. And you could see that when the final whistle blew at the end of the game, the Real Madrid players were gassed, they were tired, they had put in a shift. Imagine playing 120 minutes of high impact, high octane football against Atletico Madrid at the Wanda Metropolitano on Wednesday, only to come out on Saturday to then have to play a really good team like Villarreal, where you are quite literally fighting for your life to be able to maintain the win. they were tired, and you can see them just gasping. And I think at the end of the match, there was a comment by one of the coaches that said, 72 hours after a game is the minimum you can ask. So it makes sense, and I kind of agree. The games are quite much this season. Players are dropping with injuries that we aren't quite used to seeing because there's more competition. The UEFA Champions League was expanded in scale this season, although to be fair, I kind of like it, but let's be honest, it's not what we're used to seeing. And the way the games are scheduled, it has a very high impact on the players' bodies. Jude Bellingham was exhausted. He could literally not walk at the end of the game yesterday. Kylian Mbappé was collapsing on the pitch at the end of the match. I want to enjoy my football. I really want to enjoy football the way football should be enjoyed. I want to watch all the games, but at the same time, I don't want to do it at the risk of people's health. So just leaving that out here for whom it may concern. But now let's get into this Barcelona game. Okay, the game between Barcelona and Atlético Madrid is the game of the season. This game had impact. Atletico Madrid were sitting third in the league. Barcelona were sitting second, of course, after that Real Madrid win yesterday. But you have to understand that Barcelona have that game in hand against Osasuna because they did not play last week due to the tragedy of the first team doctor passing away. And Real Madrid had the early kickoff ahead of Barcelona yesterday. However, this game was very much important in the sense that, like I always mentioned in my reviews, it's the struggle for La Liga this season is bumper to bumper. Like, you cannot afford to snooze, because if you snooze, you lose. You can't afford to, you just can't afford it. So you have to make sure that every game that you put yourself out there, that you are doing the best that you can be doing. Unlike Atletico Madrid that had to play 120 minutes in the UEFA Champions League in midweek, Barcelona had quite some advantage coming into this game because their win against Benfica on Tuesday was quite literally straightforward and it wasn't anything dramatic. They were even able to rest some players in that game. So coming into this game, Hansi Flick fielded a team that started Szczesny in goal, which is something that we've come to accept. Szczesny is still unbeaten since he became Barcelona's goalkeeper at the start of the new year. Alejandro Balde came in on the left wing. Inigo Martinez and Pau Kubasi returned to the starting lineup because if you remember, Pau Kubasi did not play in midweek because Pau Kubasi was serving a red card suspension. Jules Koundé came in on the right back position. And this was a very tough match for him, I cannot lie, but he kind of did well. Marc Casado came in and replaced Frankie de Jong. I feel like I remember seeing somewhere that Frankie de Jong was injured or was feeling some discomfort. He was scheduled to start this match, and honestly, I felt like this was a match for Frankie de Jong, but they said he was feeling some discomfort, so they could not risk him any further. And if you know Frankie de Jong for Barcelona, he has had quite an extensive injury or problem with his ankle, so it's always best to not aggravate it any further. Pedri returns to the midfield as one of the maestros, our magician. And then Dani Olmo came in playing that 10 position with Rafinha on the left, Lamine Yamal on the right. Lewandowski ended up leading the line. For Atletico Madrid, much of the people that played in midweek against Real Madrid reprised their role in the starting lineup as well. And then we had a game. Beginning this match, Barcelona were clearly the better side. They pressed Atletico Madrid. They had much opportunity. I think on the 5th minute of the game, Barcelona had an opportunity through Lamine Yamal when he worked a very wonderful one-two opportunity between him and Dani Olmo. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to quite bend it to get into the post. It just kind of hit the bounce, goes wide. This game, Barcelona did show up and show out. Like I said, they had the advantage. They had more rest time. They didn't have to play 120 minutes. So in the entire game, Barcelona had 67% of the ball possession. And it's not even as if it was because they were resting. Barcelona are a team that is most likely going to have that ball possession to their advantage. And I think that when teams come to play against Barcelona or teams like Atletico Madrid, they go into this game knowing that they might not see the ball most of the time, but they understand that when we see the ball, we have to take advantage of it. So Barcelona had 67% possession of the ball. They had 13 shots. They had 6 shots on target. Atletico Madrid has 7 shots, 2 on target. Barcelona had 633 passes compared to Atletico's 320 passes, which is like almost double the amount of passes that Atletico Madrid were able to complete. And like I mentioned, Atletico Madrid, they are a team that know we might not get the ball as often as we would like, but we will be patient. We would make sure that when we get the moments, we will press and we will be very useful with the moments we get. And this is exactly what we saw. Barcelona missed a few chances up front, but when Atletico Madrid were able to come out after being pressed in a low block by Barcelona, they were able to find an outlet to Antoine Griezmann, who plays in Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez, oh my God, I wish you were a Barcelona player. I know that I saw a video somewhere on YouTube talking about, Messi asking you to come to Barcelona. Listen, if this is something that you like, please let's make it happen, because Julian Alvarez is such a Barcelona coded player. And he is such a wonderful player. The way he played this game, he puts Koundé on notice. He put everybody that was guarding him today on notice. He was just flying by. He was making a mockery of our defense, and I can't even lie, he was a great player. I talked about Julian Alvarez a few weeks ago in my review of Atletico Madrid's game. I'm probably going to link it here somewhere. I talked about him. I talk about him a lot on my TikTok, which again, if you aren't following my TikTok, you are missing out on quite a number of content that you would be enjoying that don't necessarily make it on here. Julian Alvarez combining with Antoine Griezmann scored a wonderful goal for Atletico Madrid against Barcelona. Yes, you heard that, on the 44th minute of the game, and it was just before halftime. And this leads me to one of my first talking points of the game, which is the mentality of Barcelona. When that goal went in, I, as a Barcelona fan, I cannot lie, I did not have much hope that Barcelona were able to win this game, not because I did not believe in the quality of the team that we had, but because I've seen this movie play before. Atletico Madrid were already sitting in a very low block. If I were Diego Simeone, the one thing that I would want to do is make sure that I could preserve my lead, and I'm going to sit and pack the bus. But what I loved in that moment was that there was a picture that came up with Pedri telling his teammates to calm down, everything is okay, just telling them to calmer. And I really loved that, because that showed the mentality of a team that has really grown since last season. Last season, when Barcelona they collapse. When they go behind a team, they literally collapse, and you could see they end up going deflated, they end up falling apart. But that is not the case this season. This season, Barcelona are going to fight for everything, and I really loved that picture when I saw Pedri doing the calm down to his teammate. It told me that their heads were still in it. Even though that Barcelona were a goal down, they were still going to fight for it. Barcelona came out the second half much to the same. I was a little bit disappointed, because I felt like Hansi Flick would have said a few words that would energize the team, maybe make them come out with more energy, better press, which they did, to be fair. But I felt like it was more of the things that they were already doing in the first half that Atletico Madrid have come to become more familiar with in the game. And this leads me to my second talking point, which is a controversy that doesn't matter at the end of the day. Alexander Sørloth comes on for Julian Alvarez for Atletico Madrid. And Alexander Sørloth, I have to take a moment to talk about this player. He has become one of Barcelona's kryptonites this season. Against Atletico Madrid in December in Barcelona, Alexander Sørloth scored the winning goal with literally the last kick of the game. Yes, you heard that right. Literally the last kick of the game. Barcelona were quite literally the better team in December when they played Atletico Madrid in the Montjuic. But Alexander Sørloth came up big for Atletico Madrid when they stole the ball, and then he scored the winning goal for Atletico Madrid. Again in the Copa del Rey, in that exhilarating 4-4 draw against Barcelona in Barcelona, Alexander Sørloth was quite literally the man that scored the equalizer for Atletico Madrid at the dead. And then in this game, Alexander Sørloth came up again and was able to score a second goal for Atletico Madrid to take them 2-0 up against Barcelona. But the difference with this goal is it was a little bit iffy, in my opinion, because I felt like, and we could see that in the lead up to the goal, Rodrigo de Paul had made a handball when Pedri was trying to pass the ball. He had, controlled the ball with his hand. I had thought that maybe it was a case of the the referee were trying to see how the movement of the ball was going to develop before they made the call. But when Alexander Sørloth had, scored the goal and the Barcelona players were protesting, it just seemed like I was hearing the commentators say it was like 15 seconds ago, like how far do you want to take it back? Like they scored, move on. And so at that time I felt like, oh my gosh, this is quite unjust, like this is not good. With the benefit of hindsight, I am quite happy that they gave that goal, because it gave Barcelona players the kind of push that they needed. It was like a push, it was like a slap in the behind for them to get up their ass and actually do something, and I loved it. You could see that they immediately felt like they were being ripped off. They immediately felt like there was an injustice that had been committed against them, and they really got angry, and I loved every minute of it. Within 1 minute of that controversial goal being scored, Lewandowski, who had up until that point missed a few chances, immediately scored and brought Barcelona back into the game. It was 2-1, and that is the kind of response that I loved from this team in this game. I think the second talking point, or the third talking point, is maybe it was premature, in my opinion, for Diego Simeone to take on Giuliano Simeone and Julian Alvarez, because up until that point in the first half, when they had gone to 0 up, they were really playing well. They were really playing well. Giuliano Simeone, even though I did not really like this player today, his theatrics was quite extensive. He was doing too much, in my opinion. But then again, which Atlético Madrid player doesn't do too much in a game? But he was doing what needed to be done. He was making some good runs. He was playing some good balls, and his defense was really defending. And then you have an amazing player in Julian Alvarez, who was, quite literally being the outlet that Atletico Madrid needed and a threat up front. But with hindsight, maybe you can say they should not have been taken off the pitch, because it opened the pitch for Barcelona to play a little bit better. But then again, I understood why that was done, because like I mentioned, Atletico Madrid had played 120 minutes in midweek on Wednesday. You could see that Julian was done. He had nothing left to give, and that was the same for Giuliano as well. So maybe it was a case of like, let's preserve the legs. We're 2-0 up, we can see out the win. But then there's another talking point I want to really highlight, which is Hansi Flick's management of this game. Yes, Atletico Madrid are one of the few teams that have really learned how to play Barcelona this season. Every time that we've played Atletico Madrid, it's been goals galore. It's been very, knife edge kind of situations. But this time, Hansi Flick has really learned how to make in-game situation. Or I would say his in-game management of this match was very good. And it was probably quite literally the reason why we were able to win this game. And let me explain a little bit. When I was watching the game, Atletico Madrid players were isolating Lewandowski, and they were trying to make sure that Rafinha was not having a lot of joy in the box the way they usually do, or even the way that we were able to release Rafinha. We weren't able to do that. And so one of the things that I felt was that we needed another attacking threat to release the pressure on Lewandowski, and honestly, I just needed another attacking threat because Lewandowski was being Lewandowski, in the game, and we needed someone else who could finish. And so I thought that this game was something that required the talents of my guy, sometimes Ferran Torres, and he brought him in. I also thought that Marc Casado was not having the best game. I love this player. He's one of the players that give you all the things that you need, in a match. He does all the dirty work. But for today, we needed a player that could advance the ball. We needed Frankie de Jong. Unfortunately, we did not have a Frankie de Jong in this game. However, if we cannot have a Frankie de Jong, then we can have a defensive-minded midfielder that's going to make sure that Atletico Madrid are not able to, move past us either. And so when he brought on Eric Garcia, took off Marc Casado, brought on Ferran Torres, I thought that was quite literally the best move in this game, because not long, I think it was 5 minutes into the game, after Ferran Torres had come on, Rafinha plays in an exquisite cross into the box, and guess who is on the end of it? You guessed it, Ferran Torres, and Barcelona were 2-2 level. And I thought Hansi Flick has learned how to manage this game. His substitutions in this game was top tier. Another talking point is sometimes you just need to take a long range shot. Yes, I said it, because sometimes Barcelona are guilty of being one of those teams that want to make the pretty play, make it play, cute, make it very beautiful, probably even walk the ball into the net. And on certain occasions, I was hoping that the Barcelona players will have the courage to shoot from outside. Perhaps the ball will hit an Atletico Madrid player, take a wicked deflection, and we will get a goal, which is not something that they like to do or wanted to do very well. But on the 93rd minute, which is like, I saw Lamine Yamal do exactly what I was praying that someone did. I just whip it, and he did, and he took a wicked deflection of an Atletico Madrid player to wrong foot Jan Oblak, and Barcelona were ahead 3-0, and I was like, do that more. And of course, it was pandemonium for me because I was so excited. This is the first time that Barcelona will be staging this kind of comeback against Atletico Madrid, going 2-0. Well, actually, it's not. Now that I think about it, because they did go 2-0 down in the Copa del Rey, and then, but this is the first time we're winning, is my point. So I was quite excited. It reminded me of a Messi moment, and it was literally quite pandemonium. Another talking point for me from this game is the team, the way that they defended. Yes, because we've seen Barcelona go on ahead against Atletico Madrid on multiple occasions this season. We've seen Barcelona go 4-2 up in the Copa del Rey, but still end up dropping points drawing that game, in the La Liga in December. They were 1-0 up through a wonderful goal by Pedri, but ended up losing that game 2-1 thanks to Alexander Sørloth. So even though Barcelona had secured a third goal through Lamine Yamal in the 90-something minute, and yes, it was a 4 minutes of added time, a lot of things could still happen, because guess what? This Atletico Madrid team are very dangerous. So the way the Barcelona players were able to defend as a unit, and of course Araujo came in to shore up that defense. I loved it. I was seeing a team that is really staking their claim on the La Liga title, because yes, this game is quite pivotal to whoever wins the La Liga title, and I loved every minute of it. To add the icing on the cake, of course, Atletico Madrid were trying to get a one goal back, make it 3-3. But I feel like this was divine justice. Yes, it was. It was the fourth goal I'm talking about now from Ferran Torres. It was divine justice. It was a revenge. It was reminiscent to me of the goal by Alexander Sørloth in Barcelona in December, where at the very last minute, Barcelona were able to concede after they lost the ball in a very bad place, and Alexander Sørloth was able to counter-attack, advance the ball into Barcelona's attack, and then score. This was exactly the same situation. So Barcelona were able to get the revenge on the 94th minute, literally with the final kick of the ball, and score the final goal, and it is 4-2 remontada complete. How does the table look like? Barcelona obviously quite back in number one, ahead of Real Madrid on goal difference. Of course, Barcelona still have to play Real Madrid in El Clasico at the Montjuico in Barcelona, depending on if we're able to get the Camp Nou open, which I don't think. So Barcelona will have to play Real Madrid in Barcelona in May, which would quite literally at that point decide who will get the La Liga title. But for the meantime, Barcelona are number one, level on point, but on goal difference. Atletico Madrid are falling quite off the pace at this point, because before there were 3 points, I want to say, behind, but they're in third position anyway. Barcelona still have that game in hand against Osasuna, which when they play and when they win it, they would then be an additional 3 points ahead of Real Madrid in the La Liga. So this is quite literally one of the best La Liga races that we have seen in recent time. A good thing for Lewandowski and the goal that he scored, because Kylian Mbappé is on his heels for the Pichichi. Kylian Mbappé scored 2 goals yesterday for Real Madrid, bringing him his La Liga tally to 20. Lewandowski scored a goal for Barcelona today, so he is now 2 goals ahead of Kylian Mbappé on 22. I don't really care who ends up winning the Pichichi as long as Barcelona is able to win the La Liga. But let me know what you thought about these games in the comment section. I am quite excited to hear your take. What do you think about my take? Did you think I got it right? Did you think I got it wrong? Let me know what you know, and let me know who you think is going to win the La Liga at the end of the day. But until next time.